Long before the first cities rose, before iron or written law, humans found a tall green plant that grew faster than almost anything else in the field. Its stalk yielded fiber strong enough to bind, to weave, and to hold. We call it hemp, and its story stretches back at least 10,000 years, to the river valleys of Central Asia, where it may have been one of the earliest plants our ancestors ever cultivated. From those origins, it spread along trade routes in every direction, carried by merchants, soldiers, and settlers who understood that this single crop could clothe a family, rig a ship, and seal the seams of a wooden hull. For most of human history, hemp was not a curiosity. It was infrastructure. The oldest surviving piece of woven cloth, fragments found in ancient burial sites, was made from it. Chinese papermakers pressed its fibers into some of the earliest paper ever produced. Sailors trusted their lives to rope spun from its stalks, and the word canvas itself descends from the same root as the plant's old name, cannabis. To understand why hemp endured so long, it helps to understand how it grows. It is an annual, planted in spring and rising with remarkable speed, often reaching 3 or 4 meters within a single season. Sown densely, the plants shade out weeds, demanding little in the way of chemical help. Their deep roots break up compacted soil and draw up nutrients, and when the harvest is done, the fallen leaves return organic matter to the ground. Farmers prize it as a rotation crop, a plant that leaves a field better than it found it. The harvest depends on what the grower is after. For fiber, the stalks are cut as the plants begin to flower, then left in the field for a process called retting, in which moisture and microbes loosen the bond between the tough outer bast fibers and the woody inner core. Once dried, the stalks are broken and scutched, separating long fibers for textiles and rope from the short woody pieces known as huds, which can be pressed into building materials or animal bedding. For seed, the plants are left to mature, and the harvest yields a small, oil-rich kernel eaten by people for thousands of years. Almost nothing of the plant is wasted. Hemp's role in human history is woven through the rise and fall of empires. Mediterranean fleets sailed on hemp sails and hemp lines. The great age of exploration was powered, quite literally, by the rigging that held the masts. Soldiers wore it, farmers depended on it, and entire towns grew up around the mills that processed it. Even as cotton and later synthetic fibers began to compete, hemp remained a quiet workhorse of the agricultural world. Then, in the early 20th century, its fortunes changed. Caught up in laws aimed at its intoxicating cousin, the plant was restricted and in many places banned outright, despite the fact that the fiber varieties contain almost none of the compound that causes those effects. For decades, a crop that had served humanity for 10,000 years nearly vanished from Western fields. Today, hemp is returning. As nations revisit old laws and draw a clearer line between industrial fiber and its psychoactive relative, farmers are once again planting it across thousands of hectares. Modern interest is driven by the same qualities that made it valuable in the first place, and by new ones we have only begun to appreciate. The plant grows quickly while pulling carbon from the air. Its fibers can replace plastics in car panels and packaging. Pressed with lime, its woody core becomes hempcrete, a breathable insulating material for walls. Its seeds feed both people and livestock, and its oils find their way into foods and cosmetics. Researchers study it as a way to clean contaminated soil, drawing heavy metals up through its roots. In a century anxious about waste and warming, an ancient crop suddenly looks remarkably modern. The return of hemp is, in a sense, a recovery of knowledge our ancestors took for granted. They did not need laboratories to tell them that a fast, hardy, useful plant was worth growing. They simply grew it year after year, generation after generation, until the thread of that tradition was nearly cut. Now, in fields old and new, the spinning has begun again, and the oldest of fibers is being woven once more into the fabric of the world.